Well, we have an update on California's oil and gas situation as state leaders get ready for prices to go up even more.
And California is relying on more imported fuel than ever right now, a situation made worse by the war in Iran. Governor Gavin Newsom's administration says it's working on a plan in the event of gas shortages.
Now, this was at the center of a hearing at the state capitol today, and KCRA 3 political director Ashley Zavala joins us now. Ashley, what's the plan here?
Yeah, this was kind of a last-minute hearing that was organized this week. State energy officials said California basically has enough supply to meet demand for the next 6 weeks if the Strait of Hormuz stays closed. Beyond that, there are a lot of questions. This hearing was in the Assembly's Energy and Utilities Committee. In fact, it's still going on right now. It included Governor Gavin Newsom's top officials who monitor the oil and gas industry, notably California Energy Commission Vice Chairman Siva Gunda. Western States Petroleum Association President Jody Mueller was there, along with the UC Berkeley energy expert Severin Borenstein. Everyone agreed the war in Iran is making the state's gas price situation worse, while also agreeing California is relying way more on foreign countries for oil, which makes the state vulnerable to price spikes. Gunda specifically was asked what happens if the Strait of Hormuz stays closed for another 60 days. He said the state's oil supply is stable in the short term, but beyond that, if the strait stays closed, prices will likely go up. Here's what that conversation was like.
I do not see presently, at least up to 6 weeks, a shortfall or a supply shortfall. Beyond that, I think based on what we're hearing from the industry and what we have observed, the pricing will move molecules towards California, but it will come at a price. And that's something that we need to closely watch.
For 6 weeks at least, there seems to be some certainty, but almost as certain is that if this situation continues after 6 weeks, we would likely see more price increases for gasoline.
More exposure, yes, absolutely.
What should California consumers be expecting in terms of price if this conflict continues for 3 months, 6 months?
If the prices continue to go beyond $6.25, you will really see demand coming down. So we would expect, the prices to stabilize under $7, more like $6.50.
I could certainly see the price of crude oil going up another $40 or $80 a barrel if we really went 60 more days. And I use those two numbers because they translate to another $1 or $2 per gallon. I don't think that's implausible at all. Unfortunately, I think that would be a crisis, and it would be completely out of control of the state of California.
Severin Borenstein, who you just heard there, he's a researcher and economist who has been studying the oil and gas industry in California for decades. He did float the suggestion of a possible gas tax holiday here in California. Governor Gavin Newsom has shut down the idea of suspending the gas tax as recently as a couple of weeks ago.
Did the governor say why he was shutting that idea down?
He just said no. He basically said no.
So is there an emergency plan in place?
So that was actually another question that lawmakers asked Gunda in this hearing. Gunda essentially said he's working on it. There is some proprietary information, some trade secrets from the oil industry that he legally cannot make public about what the near-term supply could look like when it comes to oil and gas. Gunda said he is in negotiations right now to try to ensure stability in California if the situation in Iran persists another 3 to 6 months, but he did not give a timeline on when exactly a public update on that would be coming. So again, a lot of questions tonight on what the future looks like.
Californians are drowning in these gas prices.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.